And we're live. Hello and welcome to Quant Gang. And we've got a lot of really important information to share tonight. And that's why we have over 265 people joining us right off the bat. Thank you for being here. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. And I'll try to mute this background noise. So for the overview here, I've got a few announcements to make. Then we'll have the shark who got hacked. I'm hoping that Papa B will be able to join us to give us a briefing on his best tips, best practices for security. And then we've also got a bridge researcher who wants to talk about some of their research when it comes to how that relates to Pulse Chain. So again, hit the like and subscribe button. So the announcements here are that the US Road Tour is killing it. I just got back from hugging it out with Whales Only. He showed up tonight. We were able to do the workshop and it went great. And so shout out to everybody on the Albany team, to FreedomTV.info. If you haven't attended an in-person Hex event, make sure to get ready to go to one. You can learn more at FreedomTV.info and see the schedule of how Abid and Patrick are traveling around the country to teach people about Hex and allow people who are OGs to get together and feel the positive energy of the community. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I've got a new Hex cameo coming out this week that is going to have the person who played Richard Hart in the final episode of Silicon Valley. And so you can follow on myself and the gang here on Twitter to catch that. And then the audience a while back asked for a Quant Gang dating app. And myself, I have 5 years of experience teaching healthy relationship skills as a therapist. And I think that in general, the community would benefit really from discussing what it is that we can work on ourselves for. After we get our money right, then we want to get our relationships right, just like in Sci-Vive. And so I'm going to have a special guest on Hex Therapy Live coming up, and I'll be able to talk about what mistakes I made when I was international dating, and you'll get to hear all the drama about that, about somebody who I'm going to have a special guest that's the president of the Ukrainian Matchmakers Alliance and a psychological dating expert. And so definitely tune in for that. Now, the crowd is, I'm sure, going nuts, wanting to know who got hacked. And so we do have evidence. It's somebody who has been in our community. Hex 19 was the person who got hacked a couple days ago. And I know that based on the on-chain behavior, people have a lot of different questions. And so that's why we're here, to educate the audience on how to improve your security and how to look at what really matters more than just money is community and your own self-care and everything. And so very serious topic that we're going to be talking about here. I wanted to kind of set the stage by playing a video of so the person who got hacked, his daughter had spoken at one of the Hex meetups. And so I want to kind of share what's been going on in the community is that people are meeting up in real life to help others. And that's going to help us tell this story of what to do when you get hacked, is really to be able to learn from how much is to see how much support you have and to recognize that life is more than just about money. So I'm just going to play this 1 minute video. And I'm going to include the sound as well. Here we go.
When you have an electronic world, especially something that started in the middle of, quarantine, connection got lost. I lost connection with, I couldn't see my parents for a year. That's devastating. I'm really close to them. So being able to reconnect, bring community together in such a beautiful way where, you're helping people be financially secure and create that security. It's a wonderful thing that you guys are doing, and really appreciate it.
I would wait until the fires of hell are frozen. I would sink into the
I did the calculation for my friend, right? And I staked out 5,000 hacks for my friend for 10 years. And I did the calculation, bro, you're a millionaire already.
So I'm just going to switch my sound source now so that we can have the shark who got hacked. We'll be able to hear their voice. I've got them on the phone here.
Hi, Maddie. I see you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and say something so we can see if the audience can hear you.
All right, it's Hex19 here. Hello, Hexicans. And I appreciate, I've read some of the tweets and things like that. Some of you, of course, are confused, and that's understandable. Appreciate the one, bunch of you reaching out and saying, they understand and all that. Well, let me tell you, X19, yeah. Let's see, early November, I was at the airport, and all of a sudden my phone didn't work. I couldn't call my wife, who was sitting right next to me, which is ridiculous. So we fly and we land. I tried to get it reestablished, with the what do you call it, the carrier. And it was interesting because the phone wouldn't work, but the data side of it worked. So go figure that. Anyway, we have subsequently gone and got our SIM cards changed. So we're not sure that that's, that's part of the answer, but we've done that. And let's see, yeah, they tried to get into the bank accounts, weren't able to do that, but they got into all the crypto centralized exchanges. So there's a little caution point for us. Of course, the exchanges say, well, when the money's gone, there's no insurance, and, so that's all lost, of course. I hope you guys enjoyed the big payday that we had a couple days ago. Maybe it'll be called Hex19 Big Payday.
It certainly is, and it goes down as the highest payout day in history for Hex, and that's because the hacker had emergency ended many of the stakes, even ones that gave them 0 Hex, right? But so how did you hear that how did you hear about it at first, that there was a hack?
Okay, one of the things I checked, of course, I don't know, I checked a bunch of things, but one of them was my MetaMask wallet. And I said, oh, where is my liquid Hex? Because I had a lot of Hex in there unstaked because I was, it was sort of residual from the sacrifice period. I put a whole bunch in there for sacrifice and used MetaMask to do that. But excuse me, but I left some, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And anyway, they got that. So I said, so that means my MetaMask wallet has been hacked and it's all gone. At least the liquid is gone. At that time, the Hex stake was still there. I could see that was okay. but I realized that it's just a matter of time. If they know what they're doing, they're going to get the stake hex. Now, yeah, the 4-year stakes had value because we're coming up on 2 years. But the 10 years, of course, have no value at this point. Won't for many years, right?
Yeah.
So so I said, oh well, I'm going to declare in my mind that they're all gone.
Yeah.
So from almost that instant, I realized that they were gone. It's hard to convince people, like the family, that it was gone, but they know it's now gone. So that's it's hey, we're retired. Wife and I are retired. We live without debt, or we're pretty modest people. And I'll have to admit, I was looking at the Hex Flex side of the game, and I had those delusions of, hey, maybe we should buy a super yacht. Can you imagine, and the 10-year stakes come due, I'll be, 91? What the hell am I going to do with a super yacht? Anyway, I had about a 9-month illusion. It was a lot of fun. And I think the family, I see my wife's laughing, so we have a sense of humor about this. And I think it's really important for the community not to feel sorry, for me or any of that kind of thing, because we're not looking for that kind of reaction. The reaction I want from the community, obviously, is, we're doing it ourselves, is instead of looking at how productive you are, when I look to do something now, my first thought is this secure?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And so people having better security is a positive that you could see come out of this?
Oh, hell yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody should be, listening to the best guys about security, and realize that once you're hacked, putting it on a hardware wallet, it's too late, or doing any of that kind of thing. It's too late. Protecting your password, it's too late. So we have to do it before. And, that Ethernet address, of course, is just gone. There's stuff there now, but it has no value, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so, just as a cautionary tale to people, just because somebody reports that they were hacked does not mean that you can prove that, right? And so all of us YouTubers know to be careful. If somebody messages us with a sad story about how they got hacked, they could just be impersonating somebody who got hacked, and what they're looking for is they want people to feel sorry for them and send them free money. This is a much different case, right? Because we suspected that there had been a hack when we saw what the large payout was in the Hex system, and we can see over 400 million Hex were paid in penalties, right, because of the stakes being ended early. And so I posted on Richard's tweet, to say that somebody could reach out, because I was worried about the mental health of that, the individual. And what we ended up doing, once I found out that it was Hex 19, that immediately told me that this was somebody that has been known in the community for a long time. Hex 19, I remember, was always in the live stream, making comments and letting us know, that you believe in Hex, even though you're 81 years old, you are still long-term minded. And so I remembered your participation in the community. I remembered meeting you in Las Vegas in person. And so it's really, I think, even more tragic for the community to know that it's, that you're one of us, and that you really did get hacked, that this was not a situation where you told your seed words to someone on Telegram. It's not a case where this was an OA wallet that was just gifting people something.
No gifts.
And I really respect the fact that you're coming on stream and you're not asking for anything. You're just wanting people to benefit from security. And I know whenever we get done with our conversation, not that there's any rush, we're gonna have Papa B come in, and he's one of the most he's the most respected guy when it comes to security here in the Hex community. And so we're very pleased to have him as a guest on the show tonight.
Great. Maddie, I saw one or two people that weren't sure that I was really the person who was hacked. So why don't you explain what we did yesterday to prove it?
Yes. So out of respect, I knew that I wasn't going to force the issue because it was a known member of the community, but I also knew that it would be a good example to set to show proof that the person who had contacted me was who they said they were, somebody who controls the private key for this address that had gotten hacked. And so what we did is I created a new wallet and I registered with the Ethereum name system, quantgangverified.eth, in order to tell anybody who was watching the wallet what was going on, that this was a verification procedure. And then I sent some ETH to Hex19 here, and he sent it back. And that's how we verified that he has access, although we presume that the hacker also still has access. And so that didn't it didn't definitively prove that I wasn't on the phone with the hacker, but since it's a known member of the community, and so that pretty much solves that part. So and then I think it's kind of safe to say what it was that you think caused you to get hacked might have been connecting to public Wi-Fi. Is that right?
Yeah. So sort of following up on that, I discovered the phone was not working when I'm sitting at the airport waiting for a flight. And yeah, so at that point I was totally out there with the phone out. And so I was at the airport when I discovered. Now, it could have occurred several hours before that when I was still home. So I'm not ruling out a keylogger on my PC, which is another possible thing. Anyway, once they get into that, unfortunately, I have all my passwords and stuff, in a data file, which, then they can see everything, So
yeah, so it's probably that combination of having your seed words in a text file and then connecting to public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be it. Whoever the hacker is, or them, or locables, or whatever, you have to realize it didn't make sense to end stake the 10. It's 100 million hex that were 10 years out.
Yes.
Zero value.
Yes.
I mean, that is the dumbest thing. Unless they wanted to participate in the in the EES value. But even then, I think they didn't do all of them. Of course, to do them all probably take a lot of Ethereum, right? I don't know how much.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking probably what happened is that they were identifying that this file had financial information in it. And then they learned enough to use the go.hex.com site to see that they actually had control of these stakes. And so they started ending them, and,
Yep.
you know, didn't really understand like you only get your principal back thing, but they were getting $250,000 every time they pressed that button and paid $600 in ETH. And then, and it looks like it was happening every minute to 3 minutes, that they were ending a stake and then sending it to their other address, ending a stake, sending it to another address. And so to some extent, I think they had a game plan when they went in there. There were a couple of transactions that maybe got stuck, and they got them unstuck really quickly. So they knew just the right amount, but not enough to avoid, you know, doing those big nukes where, after they had taken all your 4-year stakes that had matured a couple of years and could get some principal back, then they went after the one stake that you had that was a bigger pays better. So 100 million hex, pre-big payday. You had staked for 10 years, and they took the value of that to zero. They did not get anything out of that. And so they did that about 3 times before they learned that paying $600 in ETH to end those wasn't giving them anything. So
Right. Crazy. Yeah.
So
Oh, well.
yeah.
Like I say, we don't need the money, so it was fun. But yeah, let's see if we can get the security up. Here's the other thing. I have filed police reports, you know, and FBI reports, but they, of course, haven't responded or anything like that. If anybody in the community has contacts or knows how to, you know, get some action in that area, if that's a good idea for the community. Now, I don't know whether it is or not, but if anybody has a suggestion, I'm certainly up to it. What's the other thing? The other thing is, maybe there are people in the community that know how to do the kinds of things where you look at the ETH address that it was sent to. Well, all right, what happens when they send it to the next address and the next, you know, all that kind of tracking. Maybe there's people in the community that have either the ability or the software or the connections with the people that have the software who can do that. And who knows? We don't know whether the hack. I suspect the hacker is not the state, meaning a foreign state or anything like that. But who knows? You know, maybe whoever's doing this is not just a hacker, is somebody is really bad, and it would be worthwhile to take them out, you know, of the equation.
Yeah, like the FBI, anybody who has contacts that are, you know, specialized in cybersecurity. I think that this would be of interest. And I think that at first people were confused because they didn't know it was a member of the community that is known. And so some people were, I would say, very confused. They thought maybe the shark who got hacked was accidentally unstaking or something. We don't think that's the, you know, obviously we know that's not the case, because it's,
I assure you I wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. And people are curious as to why this hasn't, you know, been cashed out yet or whatever. And I think the hackers just, you know, doing more research and stuff. But if they did their research, they would know that the Hexaking community is the last community that you want to mess with. There are so many ex-military people. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, this person gets hunted down vigilante style. But that being said, it's just sitting there in this address that I have pulled up on the screen, and yeah, it's traceable. So there, you know, again, anybody in the community who has contacts with law enforcement that could actually do something about this, because we do see. And I'm not going to go into the details of that, but we can see that that there are methods for tracking these things down sometimes.
Great.
So that somebody's asking how much was lost in total. I believe 400 million hex being emergency unstaked,
Yep.
or in penalties, that's about $80 million. And it's sad because it was, staked for so long that interest would have really accrued there.
Yeah, it all had big payday, and there were 4. I had a few stakes that ended after the first year just because of the free text that we got from BTC. In fact, I actually did an emergency end stake back then. If you look at one of the first 3 transactions, just to see what the penalty would be. I figured I wanted to go through one where it was less than $10 worth of stuff. So I thought, hey, let's see what happens if you do it. And so I said, oh, okay, I won't do that again for sure.
So there's on-chain evidence that you and this account knew what a emergency unstake did.
Absolutely, it's right there.
Yes.
It's the first, second, or third one. I can't remember which one, but one of them is. I still got a little bit of interest.
Yeah. So, and can you speak a little bit more about like your emotional state and how you're coping and taking care of yourself?
Okay, so when you think you've just lost a whole bunch of money, all of a sudden the stomach doesn't work. You got this feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you say, "Oh my God," and then you say, "Oh," and then you say, "Oh, geez, I got to tell my family that I've screwed up again." Because at 81, you've got many opportunities to screw up during your lifetime. Nothing really too bad, but we've had our ups and downs, and so, oh, you did it again, Bill. What the heck? What's going on? And so and then I was visiting, friends and relatives and people like that, and I'm still trying in my mind to get my head wrapped around this, and it's just, it's gone, because I read the audit, Richard Hart put out, and thank you, Richard Hart, for having Hex. I started, when you were doing some fluid dynamic thing, listening to you, and then we went over to Bitcoin Hex. So I've been around since those days, and thank you again for, doing Hex, because even if we, didn't have it, we wouldn't be where we are. And we had pulled some money out, not really of Hex, but I pulled it out of the other coins. Excuse me. So, yeah, but you're through that really down, oh God. Well, how bad is it? Well, it turns out we just lost hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're not going to be billionaires. But we were never billionaires to begin with anyway. So, can we pay the bills next month? Yes. All right. Can we still go on an occasional vacation? Yes. We can still do all the things we want to do. And by the way, as you get older, you don't really want a lot of property and things, because some of you probably understand this. Property owns you. You don't own the property. When you own stuff, you've got to take care of it. That's, and as you get older, you don't really want to do that, Okay, you don't even want to hire the people to take care of the stuff, because then you got to manage the people that you hire to take care of your stuff. So anyways, as I've gotten older, and long before this, I've, gotten rid of stuff. So, excuse me, I guess my cough is still coming back, is still here. But we live very well. We live very simply. We have a great family. We have awesome daughters and their husbands and their granddaughters. We have granddaughters. You know, there's a whole family of support. So, you know,
I wanted to, I wanted to read what your daughter had messaged me, because I thought it comforted me to know that she's in your life. She, would that be okay?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So your daughter had written me on Twitter and said, "Hi, Maddie. Thank you for responding to Dad, Hex19. Please be assured that he has the support of his family. Dad is priceless. Always has been, always will be. We're grateful to him for introducing us to Hex and Pulse Chain. We continue to educate ourselves on their products and believe in their potential. We support his decision to tell his story for two reasons. One, Dad has spent his lifetime in technology and finance. What happened to him can happen to anyone. New onboards are particularly vulnerable. Candidly sharing his hacker story is important and valuable to the community." And I know when you and I talked on the phone last night, you said that, that you have always been into technology, and you had just kind of taken a casual approach to your security, and that is something that people can learn from, to put in the extra effort to check yourself. What would happen if you if your phone logged you out of your MetaMask, or your computer logged you out? Would you have the password to get back in? Do you have the seed words written down in the first place on paper, not screenshot, not on a digital file? So that's just my aside. The number two here, the number two reason that she stated for supporting your decision to tell your story: "We do not want the monsters who robbed my father to profit any more than they already have from their crimes. So if the wallet can be prevented from gaining from the Pulse sacrifice or from stake tax, then we want to see that happen." She said, "Dad knows I'm reaching out. He can confirm that that I am who I say I am. My identity can also be verified by the U.S. road trip crew who met and interviewed me in Salt Lake City. Wishing you wellness, Robin."
Right.
So I'm really glad to hear that you have support, and it sounds like part of your message is that there's more to life than just money. Can you tell us more?
Well, for sure. I've always been interested in finance and money. There's no question about that. I worked hard in the computer industry for 40 years. I started with IBM back in 1966. When the IBM 360 computer first came out. I mean, it goes back that far. And I've been interested in technology. I'm an IEEE senior member, believe it or not. They may be embarrassed to hear this, but I've been active in the IEEE for years, Computer Society, and so anyway, retired in 2008 from Toshiba after 20 years. So I was involved with the marketing side of the laptop business. And so that's my technology background. There's more to life than money. Yes, for sure. Well, hey, we're going to have some sashimi tonight. I just can't wait. We are going to be traveling next year for sure. We've got friends that we're going to meet in some place in the United States, and then we plan to fly overseas to, with our granddaughter and great grandchildren you know, I mean, these great grands are like 3 and 4, or 5 and 6 years old. So, yeah, we're not going to rent the super yacht though over there. You know, that's the only thing. Yeah, well, you know, you can rent one of those things for, I don't know, the so-called 25-meter, type, not the really big ones, but yeah, we were going to do that. So we probably won't do that, and I don't know, I have friends, we both have friends around the neighborhood here where we live, where I'll dox this part of it. We're a retirement community. You know what those are, right?
Sure.
So where old folks go, and we just are really active there. Right? So, yeah, we're also, my daughter just said, yeah, we're scaling back. Yeah, we canceled one of the vacations. First of all, with my cough, that the health is something which is more important than anything. So when we're not sick, we're not coughing, we walk every day, 2.5 miles. Hey, Maddie, we take the 369.
Yes.
I mean, that helps. That's helping me right now. Getting through everything, the clarity that you get from that. So, thanks for insisting on it, and been following you for years, or not years, but I've been following that from you for a long time. So walking every day, not fast, just fast enough. At my age, I shouldn't get the heart rate above 114, I think it is. So that's, by my old standards when I was a runner, that's, like loafing. But, my age, that's a very appropriate pulse rate. Excuse me. Yeah, the voice is starting to fade, I guess. But see, health, family, and friends, and having I'm still in touch with my 60 years of fraternity buddy and buddies, because we get together. That goes back 60 years. Yeah. Where we get together, try to get together twice a year. We're all over the United States, and
that's incredible, and that kind of helps people to understand, when you do get sudden wealth syndrome, or when you get sudden wealth period, it's important to not alienate or be mean to the people around you. To stay grounded is important. To keep up your relationships. That's why I want to talk about relationships more on Hex Therapy. And it's not just romantic relationships that can help you stabilize your life and to find meaning out, beyond money. It's your friendships, right? And it's also even your relationship with yourself. And so the key, I believe, to having better relationships with others is to work on your relationship with yourself first. And so we'll be talking in Hex Therapy about self-esteem and self-care. We'll be talking about how to make friends and, all aspects of relationships.
Right. I believe that for sure. It's just, that's it. It's yeah. I do have one Hex Flex.
Please.
So about a year ago, I guess, at least, I ordered a Tesla Cybertruck, the tri-motor with 0 to 60 in something like 2.9 seconds. Can you imagine a 93 or I won't get it until 1993, or correction, I won't get it for another till 2023. So by then I'll be 93 or 83. Can you imagine me driving a Cybertruck? I mean,
Yeah.
The only reason I can still think about it is because it'll have full self-driving by then. And even if they take my license away, but because if they can't see or whatever, I can still ride in it, and it'll drive me.
I love that. Do you mind if you and I go, do a speed test or do a caravan with the Hex DeLorean and your Cybertruck?
Perfect. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to see what we're going to do. But Maddie, my daughter and I are still planning to go to the Hex Pulse conference in 2022, right? The one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we got our 2 tickets, so we're ready to go.
I love that. Yeah. And I know the rest of the community as well will, be really excited to meet you. I think you accidentally created, like you said, a Hex 19 big payday for everyone. And so I think you've got massive gratitude going forward.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's just, I've enjoyed Vegas. I used to do trade shows there for many years, with various companies, including FutureUs. I've been there sometimes I was there 4 times for the different trade shows. And, so we like Vegas. It's a good place to go, and we certainly, I love that tank thing that you had. That was just dynamite for the Hex meetup.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was it was a lot of fun, and so there's these Hex meetups that are going on. I hope that Hex meetups become continuous. They happen all around the world. I hope that there's more than one Hex conference, and that helps decentralize things and allow people to get together wherever they want to. And so I'm feeling really blessed though that you're participating in the one coming up here in March, and people who want to learn more can go to hexconference.com.
Yeah, I was able to meet the Kryptosparbach guys and KCW in Napa. Yvonne and I went out for that, and we loved the hospitality. They found the right places to go, and so that was a good fun time for us, and we enjoyed meeting Patrick and Avit and the support team, Hex Money and Barry and the other guys there.
It's a great team, isn't it?
Yeah. They were very supportive.
Well, good. Yeah, I'm excited that you're still, that you're still able after this huge loss, that you're able to come on and to encourage the community to get their security right. I think that's the right message in this whole thing. So thank you.
Yeah. And I believe in Hex, so I'm going to just start again. Was it Billy Idol had this song, back in the 80s, Start Again? I sort of was up in my head. I can't remember the lyrics, but or the tune, but you got to start again, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Starting again is key, and it does show your belief in the product and in the community. I really love that.
Yep. So I know you guys are going to do more tonight. Right now, yes. I've got the TV muted, and I've got the everything muted here, so I can't actually see very much. But I'll when we hang up, I'll go back on and unmute them so that we don't get any feedback. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds great. I know we've got Papa B here and Karim joining us.
Good. Love Kareem, and I've listened to Papa B on, I guess it's Hex Asians and things like that. So, hey, Papa B.
Hi, X19.
And I see
X19. Oh my God,
So
brother.
if you don't mind, I will drop off.
Sure. Yeah.
I may have some questions for him.
I'll be, we'll of course we'll record this and then we'll be able to play it back and listen to any advice and things that we get.
Sure. Papa B had a question or two.
Sure.
Hex 19 can't hear you because I got the audio going to me, so there's no feedback.
No problem.
Sure.
When I want to say my piece, then maybe I have some questions for him to piece some
Yeah,
things
go ahead,
together.
Papa. Me too.
So if I ask you, Maddie, then can you ask him real
Go
time?
ahead.
Is it possible he can?
I can't hear
Not-
Papa B, so
Yeah.
Let me see if I can fix it, and then if we get feedback, then we can go back to the other way. But
or you can translate what he says and ask me.
there we go. See if that works.
Hello, test.
Oh, now we can't hear anything.
It's fine. Even if we can't
I can hear
work
you.
that out, just maybe ask him some questions that I have
Okay.
in my whole thing.
I didn't catch anything you said. It had cut out on my end. Go ahead and start again, Papa B, with your question, and I'll relay it to Hex
Sure.
19.
My questions may form when I discuss this. So is it possible that I can, ask him through you while I'm talking? All right. Because I know he may be listening on YouTube and that's the way he can hear me. So may I begin or is it not appropriate yet? All right. First of all, I'm like, I got all these emotions like, whizzing around right now. And it's a very serious thing. Obviously, one of our sharks has been cut down to size, and that doesn't help anybody. Usually I take a very condescending tone and like a tough love type of way when I do things on stream. We all do on stream because it takes that to kind of, shake people loose out of what they feel is very comfortable, convenient to do, and they don't want to try to adjust themselves to something that may be more secure. Also, there's other people around them that may be doing the same thing, so it kind of makes our job to kind of spread the word that security first. It makes it all the more difficult. So I apologize if what I say right now, I don't know if there's any way around me being at least condescending a bit to Hex 19. I don't mean to be so. I apologize in advance. So what we have here is an obvious, the question is, which one of the holes, the gaping holes in the security posture was exploited, right? Because there's many, many ways that a hacker could have gotten in. Can you hear me? Maddie? I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Karim, I got you. So number one, this is
So I see a chat from 36 Chambers, and I have been in contact with Coinbase to recover my access to that. And yes, I can tell that they got into Coinbase and then converted US dollars to ETH and then sent the ETH out to somewhere, some address. So I agree with that. Coinbase is just trying to get me back, so I can see my account.
You may have done something Karim had recommended early on, that in any of your accounts where you have staked Hex, it's unwise to keep liquid ETH, because then if somebody hacks you, they can just use that to send all of your crypto to someone, to themselves. And I thought it was overkill in the past, but now I see that this hacker, I guess, got access to your Coinbase and then did not send their own ETH to your wallet to emergency unstake and move stuff around, but actually used your own Coinbase to send ETH to your wallet. Is that correct?
Okay.
That is correct. Yes. That's again, I don't know how, I don't track. I mean, I'm assuming that the ETH that they created and sent to that address was then ended up in my, in my MetaMask wallet.
Yep. Yeah. So and there are some aspects of this that I am recommending we don't talk about publicly.
Yes.
But other than that, I want to see if Papa B has another question that that I can listen to and then speak to you, since you can't hear each other.
Yeah, since we have that technical problem, maybe I'll just ask them in advance. A few things that are on my mind. Number one, what was he using for two-factor authentication for his centralized exchange access?
So Hex 19, were you using two-factor authentication for the exchange access with Coinbase?
What method?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was on Bittrex. I know I had two-factor authentication there, but they still blew through that.
And was that with a text message or email or
No,
authenticator?
Bittrex was Google Authenticator, which I've had a lot of problems every time you change a phone and all that kind of stuff.
Did you see anything on Bittrex happen at all?
The Google Authenticator with Bittrex worked, and then after it was hacked, it didn't work. I don't know how you can do that, except they must have convinced Bittrex to turn off my two-factor authentication, which doesn't make any sense.
Did they move around crypto from that account?
Yeah, well, I really don't remember what was in there. I do know they attacked. They tried to withdraw money from my bank account, but I caught that. Because I had the bank account linked to the Bittrex, and
did they try to take money from your bank account to Bittrex? Is that what he's saying?
Let's see. With Coinbase, I don't think I had two-factor authentication enabled. Yeah, I'll have to say that was my mistake. Yep.
And with Bittrex and your bank account, did they try to move money from your bank account to Bittrex?
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
But that showed up to the bank as pending, and so I challenged it right away.
Oops, call got dropped. Let me call him back here.
All right.
Sure.
So while you're connecting up with him, I'll just tell everybody in advance. I'm going to draw some conclusions.
Hi, Maddie.
Hey, sorry, it looks like the call got dropped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the Bittrex, I had two-factor. The Coinbase, I don't believe I did. Or if I did, it was an SMS type of thing,
Okay. Which is not the most secure. And Papa will kind of go over his analysis of this, after we're done hearing from you.
I could, not tonight, not right now, but I could, if I can DM Papa B and or give him a phone number. I know he's in Japan, so that's maybe not,
I'm happy to call him back.
The right way to go, but that's up to him. I would love to pick this conversation up on doing a one-on-one, so he can understand it as best that I can go in, to more explanation.
Yeah, he's indicating that he would be willing to do that.
Great.
All
So
right, cool.
again, I'm not in a rush, but if he is, then we'll do it on his time schedule.
Sure. Papa B, do you have your next question?
Well, I mean, okay, so this is
or
all.
Do you want to do this
postmortems.
offline?
Yeah, the details. I think I don't want to give the hacker that's listening in too much extra information. So there's some things that I'll be kind of focusing my questions. I just have like two more left.
Go ahead, Papa B.
we those of us that were trying to like trace back everything. I was on the phone with Barely Crafty as soon as we noticed this happening, and we were looking at 2 wallets, splitting up funds, these ill-gotten gains. The question is, it seems that neither one of those wallets were in his control. He had no interaction with his wallets at all while this attack was going on. Is that correct? He didn't try to stop it in any way. He simply sat back and didn't know about it until it was too late. Is that correct?
Hex 19, when you found out about the hack, did you do anything to try to stop it? Or did you control either of the wallets that were being sent to?
Well, I didn't know how to stop it. I guess that's the first answer. The second one, I don't have any control of the wallets that it was sent to.
Okay. And,
okay, that answers that.
Yep. And the last thing I just want to know, we noticed some movement of Liquid Hex 18 days prior. Did he make any movement, or was that the beginning of the attack, even 18 days prior, when they went for the liquid?
So Hex 19, when they were looking at your account on the blockchain, they saw about 18 days ago there was a little bit of Liquid Hex that was moved, and they're wondering if that was the start of the hack or if you had been the one moving that.
No. Well, I know they moved 18 days ago, let's say around November 3rd.
Yeah.
Is when that's when I noticed the phone had a problem. So that alerted me that I had a problem. Then I was flying, and then I landed, and then next day, I started to work on it. What else? What did I do? I looked. Oh, I know. See, it's kind of funny because when I look at my MetaMask, this may be interesting. When I look at the MetaMask, I don't see any transactions that beyond September 3rd. So that means the transactions don't show up to me where they pulled the Liquid Hex out.
Yeah, I think that's
when I see it on Etherscan, I can see, I went there one time and looked at it. Oh, okay, that's what it is. It's all, yeah, there's the Etherscan. That's me. Okay, yeah, that's me. And then I don't know how to read Etherscan very well, except I can see that it didn't look like they pulled it out as one great big chunk. They pulled it out in small chunks.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. And what kind of phone does it have?
And then my daughter, I think, told me that,
just the make.
And this was, several days later, or maybe even weeks later, that, it's still sitting there. They haven't tried to do anything with it. And then I looked at the Hex security, or Telegram, and apparently somebody there identified that they had limit orders on some exchange, trying to, they thought that was weird.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I saw on Etherscan that one of the accounts had tested doing a 1-inch limit order. Now the type of phone you have, is that an iPhone?
Yeah, it's an iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like it's
so
it's got, it's updated, I update it every time Apple does an update.
But it's an iPhone 10. All right. I understand. All right. So maybe that's all I have to collect right now. And I can talk to all these points now.
Oh, okay. Great. So Hex 19, thank you so much for answering the questions here and for sharing your testimony of being hacked and how important taking security seriously is, and really that, you're seeing that there's more to life than just money, and that's where the real value is for you. And
For sure.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and you know, this is the start, not the end of this, you know, and I'm willing to you know, have other conversations, other, you know, go on with other people in the community, obviously, if it can be helpful. I don't want to go on to complain or cry or anything like that, but if I can further explain what happened or be helpful to the community, I'm here to do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Maddie, asking real quick, last
All right,
question.
Maddie,
Is the
we've gotta
MetaMask
eat
on his
if
phone or
possible,
on his
and,
laptop?
Yeah, we got
you
that.
guys got to get on with Quant Gang, so I'd like to hang up, and I'd like
Yes.
to unmute so I can hear the rest of you guys do.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for everything, and we'll catch you next time. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Bye, bye, Maddie. Bye, Papa B, and
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
And Karim.
See you X19.
Take care.
Okay. Thanks, Maddie, for all that. I know that wasn't easy. All
That's
right.
fine.
So I'm going to make assumptions. I'm going to blend this in with other stuff that we collect also in the Pulse Chain voice chat as well, because this isn't the first, this isn't the last time we're going to have somebody coming in saying, hey, this is a postmortem. I've been hacked. I lost all this crap. It's all on the open market, and it's going to dump on all of the entire community. And there's nothing I can do. What could I have done better? I'd like to spread the word to the community. That's the best that can come out of it. And I'm just trashed, and now I begin again. Well, when it comes to a shark, I always tell people that I do what I do, which is just, I'm not a forensic genius. I'm just a guy that has a little bit of experience and can read directions, right? So when a big shark type of hack happens, my selfishness kicks in. It says, okay, well, this guy's gone. What is that going to have to do when all that hex dumps itself on the market? What is that going to do to the rest of us? Confidence in the product, the price, you know, people saying, you know, hey, kicking him when he's down, all sorts of crap is going through my mind. So let me break it down, what you should do to avoid being hacked yourself. And that's the only way that I can accomplish this today. I really can't give any more solace to Hex 19 other than to say he's in now a battle, a race with the hacker, because he's sharing his wallet with the hacker from now on. For the rest of his life, he'll be sharing his wallet with the hacker. He'll have to instruct his kids on how to, you know, best battle the hacker and try to get a one-up on them. And that's all we can do, because the way the product is written and locked, it's a complete product. You can't alter it at all. Yeah. The seeds now, whatever you stake with, or hold on, you know, it is what it is. It's frozen and married to those seeds. So his seeds are compromised. So why are his seeds compromised? All right. Question is, number one, let's take a step back even further. Why would any of you ever, and this is, I apologize to Hex 19, we're going to learn from this, and I don't mean to mean condescending, but why the hell would any of you need to take your most cherished possession, Hex, in quantity, with you in your pocket on your fucking phone? Any of you? I want to tell everybody right now, I don't condone or endorse any use of MetaMask on your phone. I don't want anybody doing any crypto on their damn phone. It's too easy to get a SIM swap attack. And this is the tough love stuff. I'm really fucking pissed, right? Because we hate this hacker. We can't touch him. He is looking behind a pane of glass, laughing at Hex 19 as he slowly ladders out of his position. Because he knows he can do it. It's an irrevocable type of situation. And most likely the FBI isn't going to do shit. So he's laddering out with a limit order. And that kills me too, because he's taking his own sweet time to ladder out. So again, I ask you all, why would you ever use your phone for anything crypto at all? Now that we're talking about millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in this case, dollars, do you need that in your phone? Do you really need that on your phone? And to that end, I suspect that he's duplicated his seed phrase on his MetaMask instance on his phone and on his PC at home, because that's convenient. And none of you should be doing that either. A SIM card swap attack can reveal so very much. and you've widened and broadened your threat surface by having your seed phrase, by the way, would have had to have been entered in physically into one of these devices because it generated on one and that it is recovered or entered in from a fresh instance of MetaMask on the other. Do not ever type in your your seed phrase into any other device other than a hardware wallet, and only when doing an advanced recovery mode, introduction of the seed phrase into the hardware device. There's no other reason to do it ever. If it's typing into a keyboard, you're doing it wrong. Never, ever, ever. The question next is, how did the attacker get his seed phrase? I see in the chat some people have got it, and I love to see some people getting it, but others are confused. Okay, with a SIM, there's two different ways in this case. Number one, a SIM swap attack. Somebody went into Verizon or AT&T and said, hey, I'm Mr. Hex19, and I would like to get another SIM. Mine's broken, and I got a new phone. Can I just get another SIM? They convince them through easy ways you can get access to identification online to simply tell the pimply, minimum wage worker guy behind that counter, I'd like a new SIM. Maybe slips him 100. Maybe it's an inside attack that way as well. Maybe somebody working at the place would do this for a couple $100,000 or $10,000 or even less. Maybe it is $100 bill. Just like, yo, man, just hook me up. So now he pops it in his phone. Hex19 notices a disruption because that hacker has now cloned his phone, basically, right? You can do a full recovery. If anything is in the cloud, any kind of documents that he holds there, God forbid he's got his seed phrases or passwords located there. It's possible. I mean, we're all assuming that if he's going to put them on a Word file in his home PC or text or a sticky note or whatever he's using to back up his stuff digitally, he may also be, backing that up in a similar file on his phone. So there's two places that can be attacked right there. Don't keep your seed phrases. Don't keep your passwords backed up in anything digital. That should be in the real world. You should be hammering those into fender washers, or you should be etching them into, commercially pure titanium, and you should be also, incorporating a simple cipher. Do not make it so an attacker that finds that stuff can easily read it. The last thing you do is you put it in right reading in a Word file document or something like that digitally on a phone or anything that takes a battery. Okay, so that's that. So MetaMask, back to MetaMask. MetaMask can be easily, the security on MetaMask is it's a password protected web browser freaking, extension. Seeds are generated on the extension. The password itself, keylogger, SIM swap, any other kind of, I'm all broken up here, Maddie. This is really tough to say because I've been through this so many times. I'm going through charred ground already saying, why did this have to happen? But anyway, MetaMask can easily be, hacked. So you can get the password in a MetaMask and then you can recover seed phrases directly from that application. So honestly, it is the shittiest way to keep your crypto with no further multi-layer security posture employed. It's silly to do that. It's also silly to lecture one another that because Richard Hart says that MetaMask is okay, that's all that is necessary. And people do push back on that even today when I tell them get a hardware wallet. The reason that Richard Hart can say that is because Richard Hart has a possibly multi-million-dollar security posture. He's incredibly tech savvy and capable by himself. And who knows if he has a security team that have, CCISPs working for him that can absolutely make sure his OPSEC is top notch. So of course to him, MetaMask alone is fine. But he did also used to say that hardware wallets are great, especially if you use passphrase enabled hidden wallets. And I agree with that. So I want to go back to Richard Hart, maybe 6-7 months ago when he used to say that, if you're going to use a hardware wallet, use those passphrases. And I want to say that that's what we as plebs compared to Richard have to do. We have to spend, $60 to get this little piece of plastic, this little keychain to save hundreds of millions of dollars that you guys are supposed to be protecting. All right. I say this day in and day out. $60, $60 and 2 days of waiting is all you freaking need to do this. And then Hex 19
and I've heard you give your give this speech and want to thank you for how many times you go over this day in and day out. That's why we're having you on, because you are the most trusted and the most hardworking person for the security of the community here in Hex. And I would love to hear, and I want you to keep going at some point, to hear what the specific steps are that people can take to order from the right place and to do security the way that you see best fit.
Okay, I'm sorry if I'm over. I know you gave me like 10 minutes to kind of do this.
Please. All this is extremely valuable. We have a lot of people tuning in, and so I am handing over the floor to you to explore this.
Okay.
All
right,
Maddie,
to an extent.
Yeah, I want to say a couple of things too, which I think are very important as well. To piggyback what Papa's been saying, again, going back to that common sense, what we talk about security is so important, right? The first thing that he said, which again, to reiterate, repetition is key, is millions of dollars should not be stored on your phone, especially MetaMask. This is the reason why when we talk about also having the dream account, when you have stakes who are like 5, 10, 15 years old, why would you want to have that on your phone? Why would you want to be walking around with access to those? That makes absolutely no sense. That's why we talk about having multiple accounts and not having those things wander around, because technically speaking, you do not need to have access until the time is due. That's why it needs to be separate. That's why we'll also say pen and paper, because we got to make sure that it's also scalable for the normal average person who may not be so savvy to do hardware wallet. I know hardware wallet is important, don't get me wrong, but not everybody is comfortable handling that. And then they can mess that up, because I handle support tickets and sometimes people are the one messing up their own thing. So again,
I think the reason why people haven't taken security more seriously is because there has not been an event like this before that gave everybody a reason to wake up and to stop regretting not having better security in the past, but to use the present moment as the time to take action. And so,
Maddie, we have high profile one maybe, but we get tens of these types of things per month.
I deal with this all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
but for myself, I tune into a lot of Hex streams, and I've never been so motivated, and I know a lot of other people too have never been so motivated as they are now to hear Papa B's recommendations.
No, absolutely. But again, just let me finish here first.
Please,
pen and paper, again, scalable for the normal person is exactly the reason why we tell you not to have any copy digital, not to even, use the copy function, whether it is on your phone or whether it is on a laptop, to make sure when you put those words away, it is the only copy that exists. There is no any other digital copy that's out there. Very, very important. And MetaMask been known to have had, glitches. And one of the functions of MetaMask that I absolutely, absolutely despise, although I, have to have it because we had it before Sticker app came around, is this function when you can export the private key. This is another perfect example, because like Papa B said, if there's a keylogger or if somehow the hackers has access to your password, because that thing is saved, the moment he's in with the password, he can export the private key out. That's
so
one of
so instead of I don't want to give people any bad ideas, right? So
why don't we start from the ground up and say what people can do based on whatever they have right now? What can you do?
Yes.
Yeah, because I do this day in and day out, and
please,
and I just want to remind people that if they already are using that. Well, by the way, there was a recent poll. People, you should really understand this. And there are some people also in the chat that are kind of confused about how a SIM card swap attack would work in this case, and I'll answer that as well in a moment. But the first thing to know is that there was a recent poll where Hexicans answered on Telegram, and the question was, how many of you just use MetaMask? How many of you have hardware wallets? 55% of you don't use hardware wallets at all. You trust MetaMask, 55%. So get the buddy system going. Ask one of your friends, do you use it? Because you're going to find somebody that doesn't. And you ought to get them to, number one, buy 2 hardware wallets. And Karim, in all due respect, I'm going to get to Staker app in a second, but I want you to kind of hold back for a second, if you don't mind, because I will get to the Gnosis Safe and Staker app in a moment. But this is the way that I want everybody to consider what they've got right now and how they can better themselves in terms of their security posture, and ASAP. It isn't like a hesitating type of thing. It isn't a cogitating and navel gazing about whether I should do this soon or not. It should be done right the heck now. And the answer is, if you've got MetaMask, you've got stakes, you've got your SAC was done on a MetaMask wallet, buy yourself 2 hardware devices. 2. Don't just settle for 1. 2 Trezors or 2 Ledgers. Don't deviate from that at all. I don't want direct messages like I get all the time about, hey, about this hardware fancy wallet or this name brand, or do you endorse this? Only Trezor or Ledger, please. And I would say, if it's your first foray into the use of a hardware wallet, go with Trezor. Why? Because it's easy to use. It's better product build. Arguably a little bit more expensive, but I can support you real time online, and so can everybody in the video chat if you want.
And you have a specific model that you recommend?
Go cheap. It's fine. Get 2 of these Model 1s. They're like $60 each. Get yourself 2, maybe a third if you want an extra backup just to hold on to, because they're getting rare. Okay, so the point is that why do I tell you to get 2? Number 1, you're going to go into whatever MetaMask instance you have. If you've got 2 instances of MetaMasks and they are having the same seed on both, like Hex19 most likely has. We didn't get to ask him that, but let's assume that you have the same seed running on 2 instances of MetaMask, one on your phone and one on your PC. First of all, delete the one on your phone. Make sure you have the seeds written down. Of course, you should. If you don't, you're a moron. I'm sorry, we can't help everybody. If you can't write down your seeds like Karim says, and you can't keep track and manage your seeds, you're going to get hacked, or you're going to, even worse, you're going to mismanage your seeds. You're not going to have your funds. So let's assume that you have
the number one way to lose crypto is to mess it up yourself by locking yourself out. The second common way is by giving your secret seed phrase up to somebody, or getting hacked in the ways that we're talking about. So
social engineering, hack, and water damage, fire, all this stuff has to be addressed.
People impersonating myself and others on YouTube and on Twitter. Never share your secret phrase with anybody. That's why it's been renamed a secret phrase. And never take a screenshot, and never keep it in a text file. Papa, you've recommended a specific model of hardware wallet.
You get 2 of these.
It's valuable to tell people, if you're ordering it right now, because now is the moment when you should be ordering it.
Go to Trezor.io only. Do not order it from Amazon or eBay, or get it from a third party or a friend or your mother. I don't care. Order it from Trezor.io directly, please. So if you're worried about the doxing situation, I think they're going to have to send it somewhere. So work that out with them. I don't care. I don't want to address that today. You can also pay, I think, with Bitcoin and Litecoin or something, maybe Litecoin only. But anyway, the point is that just get a couple of these things. Okay. You take 2 of them. One of them is for a migration of your seed. You introduce it through an advanced recovery mode directly into the device. And then you delete and reinstall MetaMask on your PC. Now it doesn't exist on anywhere but your hardware device. There it is again. How many times do I have to show you guys this? It's going to be offline at that point on a hardware wallet. But am I more protected now? Do I get all the beautiful protection that I'm afforded through a hardware wallet? No. It helps you from the moment of migration onward. If you're compromised until that point, it will not provide you one modicum of increased security. Not at all. So you have to understand that that's the deal with the hardware wallet migration scenario. But to get it off of your PC from that moment on, it's better than nothing. The next idea is that you should take the other fresh Trezor out of your box, start that up, get a 24-word seed phrase that began on the Trezor device itself, and that will be your vault wallet. This is a brand new virgin hardware wallet with 24-word seed phrase. The other one for the migration only has 12 because it comes from MetaMask, and that seed was generated from the browser extension. Very low security all the way around. So as your stakes, as your airdrops appear or mature, you go to Liquid and then do a simple send over the blockchain to your Ethereum wallet on your Vault wallet. And you do this process until you've exhausted all of your entire staking ladder. 15 years it'll take you in some cases to migrate fully over to the Vault. Once you get over to the Vault wallet in Liquid, everything Liquid goes over there. You restake from the Vault. You do everything from your Vault. That's your master from now on. So that's the process to have two hardware wallets and get things done right. Remember, I told you to reinstall MetaMask on your PC. If you screw this up and you forget to do that, MetaMask is not going to let you connect up the hardware wallet to do your transactions. It's going to gray out the first Ethereum address, so you can't even do it. Why? Because it says, hey, idiot, you shouldn't be running what? A seed in two places at once. So you have to establish a new seed from MetaMask. Use it as your front end only. Do not use the wallet that says account one anymore. You're going to attach the hardware wallet. You're going to go through the interface and you're going to get them to interface together. And then you're only going to use the wallet if you do it correctly that says Trezor 1 or Ledger 1 up at the top of the screen. And that's what you do to start. Once we've established that and you've got that done, we can talk about other things. For example, the power of other options that I don't readily jump into first, but I'll for Karim and the beautiful guys at Staker. I'll go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah. So here's a question. So what if I have two that I got on Amazon? I think I know what he's going to say.
If it's within the time window that you can send them back, or if you haven't opened them up, do so. If not, my personal preference for this whopping $100 that you've now invested, whatever would I do if I lost $100 for the to sacrifice it in order to have a better security posture? Don't use them. Don't use them or make them your decoys. Put in a little bit of Hex and Ethereum on it, lay it on your desk, wait till you have a dinner party and see who makes off with it. And then you know that you've got a crook in your midst. That's the best way to do it. Put it somewhere like in a safe that an attacker or a burglar in your home would go for first, and then they get that and they leave the rest alone, which you've got hidden somewhere else. Okay, so that's one
Thank
point. May I address Kareem's point about writing things down and keeping things safe in the real world?
Yes.
Because a backup of a seed phrase is also the other critical part of the equation when it comes to using a hardware wallet. You've got to write these things down, but I wouldn't just simply write them down on paper, nor would I. Some people say, but I laminated it, or I laminated it with Scotch tape. And I laugh and I say, wow, in a year or two, the ink is going to bleed through the Scotch tape, through the 3M adhesive. It's going to make it absolutely illegible. Then what? Or you have a house fire. It goes up in smoke. Then what? I recommend getting it etched or die punch stamped into metal. You really should be doing this. A sustained fire in your home can burn at like 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. You need metal. So if you need metal, you can either go the route of getting commercially pure titanium and etch it and engraving it in with a $15 engraver. You're allowed to get on Amazon or get on eBay. You can get your raw materials on eBay or Amazon. Don't get your hardware wallets there. But the backups, you can get really creative, commercially pure titanium, grades 1 through 4, and etch it in with an engraver with a diamond head tip. It works like a charm, and it sustains a fire way beyond 2,000 degrees of sustained for over 30 minutes. If it's a high-rise fire, it'll survive. The other option is to go to your local Home Depot and get what we call our fender washers, which are a washer with a smaller hole and a larger surface that you can actually emboss. Fender washer should be 316 stainless steel because it oxidizes slower than the other grades. This is known as food grade stainless steel. They're easy. They're cheap. For like $3.50, you can get a stack of them and also a bolt to go through them. And what you'll do is simply use the die punch kit that have the letters on them and back up the first 4 letters of each seed word on the fender washer surface. You bolt them together, and then you have like a stack of nickels in your hand that basically has your seed phrase backed up, and that you can hide. I would also recommend, again, I always say to people, don't do this simple and right reading. Don't make it easy for the attacker to actually get your stuff and then easily know what it is. Oh, this is definitely a hardware wallet. Or this is definitely a seed phrase that I can take and put into any MetaMask and steal this guy's funds. So what you would do is maybe do a phase type of cipher. Look at the BIP39 compliant seed word list, and maybe phase it by an order of 3 up or 2 down or whatever. Make it more difficult for the hacker, right? Or the attacker or the thief or whatever, who's going to ever get a hold of this stuff. Make sure that it's in a simple cipher. It's not right reading. And you in your old age, or if you have an auto accident like poor Maddie had right here, and you're kind of out of it, that you think clearly enough to be able to decipher your cipher that you actually incorporate in this thing. Write that down in metal somewhere else and hide that as well. Also, Shamir secret sharing. You can break up your seed phrases to add a little bit of fault tolerance or disaster recovery onto this entire method. You can split those things up into 3 different parts, right? Each containing 2/3 of the seed phrase. And you can take those and geographically distribute those to 3 different locations. Thereby, if you need to reconstitute your seed, you simply have to go get 2 of the 3 pieces. And that's Shamir secret sharing done in like 10 seconds. So all this is covered about the need for backup in the real world with something that will sustain flood and fire. We have 2 methods that I just outlined now. You have to do this now. It has to be done today.
And have multiple copies.
No. I would advise people don't have multiple copies, but if you must do the multiple copy backup, incorporate Shamir secret sharing. So none of your copies may be used on their own. If you want fault tolerance, make sure you just do Shamir secret sharing. Otherwise, you're widening and broadening your threat surface again, and you don't want to do that. And finally, if you guys, close your ears if this is just making sense to you for the first time and you're confused. Paul G's confused. Paul G, don't tune into what I'm going to say next, okay? And by the way, we go over this every day, every single day, multiple times, tens of times every day on Pulse voice chat. If you want to tune in there, I can hold your hand through it for free, no problem. I need to spread this word, and all I ask is by going through this with you that you pass this on to somebody else in the community. We need to start growing this out. 55% of you don't get the point. This is ridiculous. What will it take, for you to see that this is serious? What, a whale gets hacked, just like this gentleman here? Hex 19 gets hacked. Hundreds of millions of dollars dumped on your heads. Thank God the attacker is doing a limit order right now. You ought to kiss his ass. Could you imagine if he's like a real hacker and he wants to get the money that he can right now, and he's not sophisticated enough to figure that he can maximize his gains? If he market dumped on us, Hex would be a nickel or less. So think about that. Why do you think we're doing this? That's the selfish part of what I do and what you should be doing. All right. Last thing, I'm going to do one more thing, Maddie, and then I'll be done. And there's a lot of other things that I haven't touched on, and I want to deal with Hex 19 directly so I can go through the postmortem with him. And I don't want to give the hackers any more, hints about what they can do, from years 10 through 15 and other junk like that. So, because it is a race, right? All right. The last thing is, just like Richard said, I want you to all do research into passphrases, hardware wallets. And yes, Blue Bum had a question as to whether or not Trezor and Ledger both support this, or if you have to have a high-end model only. No, it doesn't matter. All Trezors and Ledgers support passphrase-enabled hidden wallets. What is a passphrase? Okay, so as you guys know, you can generate a 12 or 24 word passphrase. 12 or 24 word seed phrase, and those are listed, and they're on an actual list. It's the BIP39 list of words. They're finite, and even though it's like 12 or 24 to the 2000 plus power for each of these things, and that's incredibly secure, even still, they're still on a list. So in the future, a possible brute force attack that can figure these things out with quantum computers, which is a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, I'll talk to you about that offline some other time. Can actually be infinitely more secure if you incorporate your own final word that is off the list and does a final recheck sum of everything else and changes the entire private key, right? And you can determine that yourself. You can go up to like 100 different letters and numbers and special characters to make your own passphrase. Think of it as your 25th seed phrase, right? It is for intensive purpose that, but it's altogether different. The difference is that it's like an incantation. It's a magic spell. When you say it and a new portal opens up, you throw your goodies in there and you close it up again and it won't appear. Even if you have the seed phrase, even if you get hacked like Hex 19 did, even if you do, and it's behind a passphrase enabled hardware wallet, you're good to go, because the attacker cannot access and sign a transaction without knowing that passphrase. That's a great thing. However, if you do not manage your passphrase separately from your seed words, if you can't remember it, if you mistype it, if you miswrite it down, what you're going to do, if you mistype it, you're going to actually get a new portal that opens up. The problem is it won't be your portal, because there's infinite amounts of portals that can be opened up, right? This is serious black magic now that you're dealing with. If you don't remember your magic incantation, the portal will still open up, but it won't be yours. And if you can never remember it again, it's like Stand By Me with the kid in the backyard looking for his coffee can of nickels, and he never finds it because he's digging up the backyard. It's going to be like that. You'll never be able to get it, even if you have your seed phrase. We can't help you. You are your own bank. This is your own like extra titanium vault door that you've put on this thing. And if you don't remember how to get into that vault door, you can't get into the inner sanctum. So I want you to research that on your own. Passphrase enabled hidden wallets. And from that, you can have an infinite amount of wallets behind that. You can leave a little bit of residue up on the top for the standard wallet for the attacker. He can see that. He can get that, but he can never get any of your hidden wallets. It's very, very powerful. So if you want to know more about that, at first, do not jump into it and start typing in passphrases when it asks you to put in a passphrase and then repeat it, thinking that, oh, this is like a password. If you do not manage it yourself, nobody will ever recover it for you. And again, if you need any help before you get into that whole mix, please come into the chat and we'll walk you through it top to bottom. And that is my entire rant. Thank you very much for your time. There's so many more things we can get into, but just for the sake of time, we got to cut it there. What do you think, Maddie?
Yeah, I think this has been really valuable, and I think this gives people something to take action on now, to not use Amazon to order a Trezor, to order from directly the website trezor.io, and take action now. Now is your chance to thank your future self, or for your future self to thank your past self, right? By taking security seriously. This time, maybe it wasn't you who got hacked, but next time it will be if you don't take security seriously. And thank you to Papa B. He helps people every day. He deserves much thanks, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you looking out for the community here.
It's my pleasure and it's my obligation. And people ask me why I do this stuff. Let me tell you that there was a very kind Hexican that once unscrewed up my entire philosophy in staking ladders, and I'm just paying that back every day. And I want to give a shout out to Dollar Cost Crypto for taking his time selflessly and giving it to a pleb like me of over a year ago to give me the best staking ladder strategy ever, and all the other people that contributed to that staking strategy. I'm very pleased. I'm beyond words and blessed to have talked with him and to have his time. Karim, I do want to handball off to you to talk about Staker and the fact that this is a Gnosis safe in the background, which is also if you're going to do things on your phone, the only thing that I would endorse would be Staker app. And with the caveat, I think version 2 is really going to be something great, because you've got the Gnosis safe updated version in the background. You've got multi-sig and all these amazing things coming down the pike. And Karim, as head of business and ops at Staker, dude, you got to talk about Staker app as well.
Will do. I mean, but first, there's that super chat from Marco here, Maddie. I think it's important to read that. And Papa, if you wouldn't mind doing that. He said, I think it's a great idea. We can donate to create a excuse me, tracer, so you can try to do like a step-by-step video just for people who would like to do that and not feel again overwhelmed.
Yeah, no need.
No
need. I got 10 of them here. I'm going to be doing one with Hextrovert Ty in just a few days. So just please bear with me. We want to make it perfect and easy to understand.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, but again, the most important thing, and thanks for the shout out again, this is why we also focus security. So the number one thing that people need to remember why the smart wallet, is that powerful with the Gnosis Safe technology is that, again, imagine there is an actual key and then there's an actual safe. The funds are stored in the safe. And then from the safe, we assign the ownership to an address, like an ETH address. In other words, if the address is compromised, we can then simply change the connection from that address to another address. This is one of the powerful things we're going to be able to fully enable with version 2, on top of having multi-sig. So that way you have multiple protection steps that are there. And if, God forbid, unfortunately, you get a situation like Hex 19, you're going to be able to change the connection from that address to the wallet, to the safe, so to speak, to a new one. So you're going to be able to save yourself and not having to play this race for the next 15 years if you were to be hacked. So that's why it's going to be super powerful. Another great thing that we're possibly thinking about doing as well for multi-sig, when you have at least more than 3 options, we're going to be able to potentially be one of the options in top. In other words, for example, if you have a couple hardware wallet and different connection, you can have Staker app as one of those protectors as well. So if you were to be compromised, they need to get that third one as well, which we're going to be able to provide. So that's another extra safety mechanism that version 2 is going to be able to enable. Again, because at first we're non-custodial, but once we get the multi-sig, once you have, at least 3 connection, we could be that 4th one if you so wish to. But if something were to happen, as long as they don't get our version, they're still not going to be able to steal your funds. So that's another really, really cool thing that Gnosis Safe technology is going to be able to be enabled. But more importantly, yeah.
Is the security with the Gnosis wallet or the Gnosis technology?
Gnosis Safe,
is that the same thing that Vitalik uses, the multi-billion-dollar founder of Ethereum?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is what Vitalik uses, but this is what's being used top of the line in the industry that secures the most fund, period. That's why
awesome.
it is so different. And one of the things that we have at Staker for extra security, which is what I personally like, is the fact that, again, there's no button on the app where you can go that says export private key. I despise this thing with literally fury, because like Papa B said, if somebody get access to your passphrase or your password and you get keyboard, keylog, whatever it might be, you might as well think that your private key is gone. Because once they got access to your password, they're going to be able to unlock the MetaMask. And when they unlock the MetaMask, they can literally just export the private key, which is one of the things that we do not have. But then again, too much is given, too much is tested. That's what we're telling you, to make sure to security, write it down, put it away, because there will not be a button that you're going to be able to click to be able to export it. This is done for protection. This is done so that the hacker doesn't basically steal your funds, so to speak, by taking away your private key. So this is why the trade-off is you got to make sure you write it down, because if you don't, and if you don't security save it, you're not going to be able to see it again. So I need people to really take that seriously, because this is the double-edged sword. Like Maddie said, the number one reason is you are the one losing the stuff. Only the third reason is is, you know, the hacker, so to speak, and the second one is, you know, you get financially engineered. So please understand that we're doing this for security, but also this is another reason why you should take that step seriously. That's what we always say before you talk about funding and all this other stuff. Secure the 24 words. Put that away. Do not leave a necessary if in your dream account if you know stuff at stake for a very, very long time. How did I know this? I watched OA. When OA put funds away, there is no Ethereum there. Why do you think that? It's to disincentivize the hacker because they will have to send funds first. And guess what? That can create a signal to know that, wait a minute, where is this money coming from? Because that will create some type of tracking mechanism, because it's not that hacker doesn't have money. It's if they send something, then you can track that, uh-oh, this money came from here. What is this address? And then boom, we can track backwards. So please take those good best practices. Dream account should be a separate account. It should not be something that you connect with or walk around with. Period, full stop, end of story.
A separate seed, in fact, yeah.
Yes. Separate account, separate seed. Do not leave liquid funds in there, especially Ethereum, because especially if you stake long term, because you're not going to need that. That's just invitation for risk that you do not need to have with you. Very, very important. Then also in the future, once we're going to be able to enable Verger 2 and multi-sig, then you can be able to add that extra layer of security. But in the meantime, one of the easiest way to have great security, once you build your ladder, when you build your stake, is to not interact with the key. So it's not being entered some random places. You're not opening and closing it left and right. You're not connecting a wallet to some random places. Again, this is what Staker App is, a one-stop shop. You're not going to random websites, connecting your MetaMask. That's another thing some people do. And then they wonder why they get, you know, sadly hacked, because they authorize certain stuff that shouldn't be authorized. So all those things are done on purpose to keep you safe. Again, let me repeat that. To keep you safe.
Good.
So
now I know the next part of the program after we wrap up here. I'm not saying that's the final word on security, but still coming up on the show, we've got a bridge researcher who's standing by to give us some insights that might allow people to get more interested in where we're at and where we could go with a pulse to Ethereum bridge. And go ahead, if you're watching this live or on the replay, hit the like and subscribe button, and then, you know, back up the stream to where Papa was telling you exactly what kind of hardware wallet to get, and take action on that now. Because
and one last thing, Manny, just because it is very, very important. Again, please, that's just my personal opinion, but I truly believe this. Never, ever, ever use MetaMask on your phone. Okay, I do understand that MetaMask came first before even Staker App came around, but there's a reason why I don't have MetaMask on my phone. Ever since the little Brave browser incident stuff, guys, stuff on your phone, browser stuff, it's never secure. I've seen too many bad things. You know what I mean? At the very, very least, if you have to use MetaMask because you're OG, whatever, I totally get it. But for the love of God, do not have that on your phone. At least the computer is a little bit more safe. The phone, you could be connecting to stuff you don't even know you're connected to. And then you know it's gone. And then
that's an hour-long discussion on its own right there.
Exactly. Yeah. So please, to keep it simple, never, ever, ever connect MetaMask on your phone, please, for the love of God. Because sadly, again, if that password that you use, that simple words, is compromised because of keylogger or whatever it might be, the moment that is compromised, I don't care how secure is your private key, it's gone. Because with the password, he can get in and export it out. So all the extra security, all the great stuff Papa B's been talking about, and then the hardware wallet, all that effort is become zero because now he's in. This is why you don't want to have that on your phone, because who knows what you're going to be clicking, random sites. You know, Maddie mentioned it the other day. It's not a joke, right? Don't watch porn on your phone, whatever it might be, because you don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait. No. Wait, I'm not supposed to watch porn on my phone.
I said the device. I said the device that you use for your
of
staking
course.
should not be
I understand.
used to access porn. And
I almost had a heart
that's
attack. I can't use my phone
know.
anymore.
Karim
I
is
mean, what am I
fine.
going to
It's
make
fine.
calls on it?
I mean,
but it was mainly for the yeah. But the
So-
point, yeah, device. But those people in this instance, we're talking about phone. But yeah, literally, no joke. People don't understand. This is one of the #1 places where hackers are, and then you could be clicking random stuff. People don't know that. It's so important.
and now, if people go to the voice chat and Pulse Chain Com, that's a trusted place to ask live questions. However, you're going to attract people who will DM you who are dishonest and try to scam you. And so it's very important to notice that distinction. And then it's an extremely valuable resource where I believe Papa B spends a lot of time educating people about this and can answer ongoing questions with no expectation of the work of others in the future. I can't believe that you're not burnt out on this topic. And I know that it's going to be important for your own self-care to not answer a million questions all at once, and for people to be patient with having you as a valuable resource.
And it doesn't matter who it is. Never share your seed phrase, period, full stop, end of story. The
Absolutely,
people who help you will never ask you that. So never share.
Right. And there's a lot of us on the Pulse Chain voice chat. Okay. So it's not just, don't just wait for me to show up. There's a lot of able people there. There's a lot of people that would listen to me rant over and over and over again, and they can parrot exactly what we said. This is the way that you should be doing it too in the future anyway. So get used to taking good advice from good hexicans that are on the hexicans and pulsations, pulsicans, whatever we're going to call ourselves, whatever it is, they're there and they want to help you. But the support should always be done on voice, in public, and with a second opinion entered in on the voice to make sure that person isn't just kind of drowsy or making shit up. So that's what I have to say. There are a lot of good people there. I'm there as much as I can be, or I'm monitoring as an admin, making sure that we don't have any morons spouting off bad stuff or shilling their stuff and piggybacking on Richard's hard work. But, I help when I can, but don't hang on just for me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you allowing me on here, Maddie and Karim.
Oh,
it was a pleasure.
No, thank you.
It is it's a terrible day, and I want to get with Hex, Hex 19 to be able to do a true postmortem and try to give him a way ahead. Maybe plug him into some people that can help him out in the future. Maybe not for him, but his children and his grandchildren. Maybe there's something that we can salvage. But really, everything that I give is preventative type of care. We're not doing post-mortem stuff. Again, I'm not a forensic specialist, but we can connect you up with maybe some people that have some ideas.
Yes,
absolutely.
Very well said. And then one last thing again, just to reiterate for the people who feel a little bit, overwhelmed, stuff like that. Again, it's okay. Take it step by step. I say this all the time. There is no rush. I know some of you guys want to onboard fast, this and that, but take the time with your onboard to teach them those best practices. It's also very important. Monkey see, monkey do. If you rush them and you don't go to the proper thing, they will just, first of all, not write down the seed phrase. I understand it's crazy. Some of them don't even do that. But on top of that, they won't take the necessary safety mechanism in order to protect themselves. This is really what this is about, because I don't want to scare anybody. It's not supposed to be rocket science. Those are simple, easy steps. But you have to be disciplined, take them seriously, and keep stuff airtight. Again, one of the #1 thing you can do to protect yourself in a very simple way is by making sure you don't share or enter this thing in so many random places. Keep it simple, keep it safe, don't have any screenshot stuff out there. And then once you do your ladder, especially the long-term stuff that you know you're not going to be touching this money anytime soon, why would you want to even have this thing unlocked anyway? That should just be staked, done, deleted from the computer if you have to, like some people do, after you safely have the seed word out, and then just use staker app view only mode. We literally created that for a reason. So you can get your little dopamine hit, but you're not out there connecting stuff. That's the key.
May I add one more thing, Karim?
Please go ahead.
Crypto Goose is very good to remind me of this, and I should have mentioned as well. I like to spread my stakes across all sorts of wallets. To me, I never want to be seen as a squid. I want to be seen as a bait ball of krill, right? Because it's never worth the time for the hacker to go after just a little bit of funds here and a little bit of funds there. And these things will grow over time, and maybe you can't be but a bait ball of squid someday. But I'm saying it's like, spread your stuff out, incorporate different methods that are tried and true, stake it with the Gnosis safe in the back end, hardware wallets to be sure, collect hardware wallets. You'll be getting tens of them in no time when you find out that these funds are worth so much in the real world, like Hex, the biggest and most successful appreciating asset in 2020. So it's going to be 2021, 2022. Pulse airdrop is going to make you a multi-trillion gazillionaire. And you should really think of it like that, even if when it hits your wallet, it's worth zero.
Absolutely. Well said. Again, multiple wallets. And guys, don't worry about the status of bragging right. You even in Sticker app, there's in the profile, you can add multiple wallets. So again, hear the words of Papa B. Okay. Have those extra safety net. If anything, at the bare minimum, 2 to 3 wallets, simply because you have the long-term stakes, you have the mid-term stakes, and you have the short-term stuff. Why would you want to ever have access to the long-term stuff, which once again, you're not going to be touching anytime soon and could be working against you if somebody that undesirable have access to, because, the contract is finished, like Papa B said. So you will not want to be dealing with penalties. So limit that potential negative externality by not having to touch it. You can still view it from a distance. When I showed you guys the Dream account, there's a reason why it was in a separate account, that I just know I can just view it and that's it. I don't need to go play with it, so I know it's safe. That's why we do those things. So please, listen to this, keep it at heart, and more importantly, share it with your onboard. It's very important. We don't just want people watching here today to not have any bad situations, but we want all the new people that come in the future not to have bad situations like this. So it's also your duty. That's all we ask. We don't ask for money. We ask that you spread the message too. Each one, teach one. That's important.
Thank you.
Yeah, Maddie, take it away.
Good. So, so people have their action items. Thank you to Papa B for coming on, and thank you for all that you do for the community.
Thank you, and thank you for what you guys do as well.
Yeah.
And with that, I bid you adieu. My stool softeners are kicking in, as I say, so I better go run, and have a great time, guys. Have a great show.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, so we have another special guest here, RTA.
Maddie.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Sorry. How's my audio? Sorry, we should have.
We can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So I'll let you do a little intro of me, I guess, and then I will do my own.
Yeah. So you're somebody who is a genius when it comes to computer programming and researching different methods that can be used, I guess, for bridging. I know you have competency in a lot of different areas, but the reason I wanted to bring you on was because I know that you've been researching bridges for some time now, and you've got some ideas that are interesting and might be worthwhile sharing. This is Quant Gang, so this is not for beginners. These are advanced topics. If you're lost, it's okay, but I'm not sure that we can get you up to speed. But I just thought that this would be a great opportunity to flex our brains and try to understand where the state of the art is when it comes to bridges, because we're all interested in understanding how that will play out with Pulse and Ethereum. So
that's a really generous intro, Maddie. Thank you so much.
Whatever you want to share, and I know that from our long messages back and forth and everything that you shared with me, that you are not going to be sharing things hopefully that are harmful, and you've kind of, so I'll let you kind of share what you think would be most helpful and you know, what some of the pitfalls are.
Great. I'll do that. So, since you said this is Quant Gang and the topics are advanced, I'm not going to censor myself. So, we might lose some people here, but I'll try to circle back a few times. So, at first, I'll cover what I've been doing, just my recent actions when it comes to bridge research. And then I will cover the state of the art at a high level, and I'll target certain categories to drill down a little bit more. So feel free to cut in at any time. I don't really have a monologue planned. I have a few topics that I've thought about for a few minutes before coming on, but otherwise I just tend to have conversations in an unplanned way. I feel like that's probably more genuine.
Sounds great.
So, great. So I'd say in the past, I don't even know how long, but it's been quite a while, maybe 2 or 3 months, 2 months, somewhere around there. There was sort of a small call to action in one of Richard's streams when it came to bridging. And I say it's small because it's more nebulous than a call to action per se. But there was a subtle indication of some uncertainty as to the optimal bridging strategy. And I saw that as a good opportunity to gain an understanding of the space, the crypto space in general, since I'll admit I'm relatively new to this space. So I decided to just dive in. I have a fairly deep technical background in quite a few areas. So for me, it was mostly getting familiar with some of the definitions and the main problems. And I very much take the approach of a quote. You know, this is actually perfect because I forgot the quote entirely and I forgot who said it. I think it was a philosopher who was an eclecticist, or he was seen as an eclectic philosopher. So his name was actually Epictetus. And the quote itself was, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. So with that quote in mind, I decided to jump in. So I asked Richard Hart to put me into the bridge room. Actually, it wasn't a phrases question. I just sent him a DM. I said, put me into the bridge room. So
Put me in, coach.
Basically, yeah. So as soon as I got in, I think I clarified what the constraints were. So we were looking for something thoroughbred, with a low risk profile, and I should put a caveat out here that normally around this time I'm getting ready for bed, but it doesn't matter. Richard streams for like 10 hours, so the least I can do is stay up a little bit longer.
Yeah, thanks for being here, even though I know it's late for you.
Yeah, no worries. So I jumped in, I found out what the constraints were, and the constraints at a high level are, we want something thoroughbred that has had millions of dollars stored on it for a long time. So it's low risk because people are putting their savings on this object. And additionally, we had constraints like no admin keys. Some people might refer to this as an absence of federation, etc. So that was the territory initially. I pulled out some papers. There was a really good survey paper from Robinson that covered the territory at a high level. And with some really gracious help from Dev Kyle, I was able to get an understanding of the space. So I started diving in. The first protocol I looked at was atomic swaps, so HTLC atomic swaps, and Kyle said they couldn't work. So I tried to figure out why they wouldn't work. And there was like a really subtle technical detail that I'm not going to go over at a first pass. Maybe we can get to it when I get at a lower level after I cover some other territory. But there's a really subtle technical detail that makes it possible for somebody to unlock money that was supposed to be locked. So once I knew that didn't work, I started looking at other protocols. We had a constant stream. Oh, sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, how many protocols did you look at for bridging solutions or the like?
All right, so this list is actually insane. I have a few versions of the list. Some projects that we considered were much more fruitful than others. However, we didn't really want to pump the tokens prematurely or really just engage in any kind of market manipulation whatsoever. Some of the projects just like weren't ready. So there's several lists. Some of the lists that I've shared, I'm just going to take a look now, have 87 entries. There's one with like 125 entries. So I kind of went through most of them. Using the Robinson paper and a few other papers, I just put a message in the bridge chat, and I'd said I'd have about like 50 or 60 of them done by the end of the week. And so I went through the 60, I finished a couple days early. And at that point, I was sort of on a roll. I kind of knew how to identify a good protocol from a bad protocol. I was optimizing for dimensions like trustlessness, centralization, concepts like atomicity, and atomicity breaks down into two sub-concepts called liveness and safety. There were also layer considerations as well. So you have layer 1 protocols, layer 2 protocols, and the difference is non-trivial. There are some trusted setups, there are some untrusted setups of those layer 2 protocols specifically. There was cryptographic compatibility as well. So different blockchains have different cryptographic primitives, and they don't always match. So that means a certain bridge architecture won't work for, let's say a token bridge, for example, which has ERC20 to ERC20 capability. The receiving end of the ERC20 side is, I think it's like an ERC 620 or 670. It doesn't matter what the contract number is, but we can't actually create that projection due to some mismatches at a cryptographic primitive level. Some other constraints involve fees. Some of the protocols were a little bit predatory. We looked at audits, documentation. So that's a little bit of insight into some of the dimensions of consideration for my assessments. We got a little bit deeper when it comes to figuring out how to break some of these protocols. So when I looked at each one, my goal wasn't to see if it was good. My goal was to see how I could break it. And there's varying levels of my definition of break. Some of them are simply violations in the constraints that we have at an atomicity level. So, in certain cases, if there was too much traffic, so when would too much traffic matter? Well, the first day of the pulse chain launch would be kind of a time when a shitload of traffic would matter. I'm sorry, I just swore. I sort of looked at how liveness would fail in times of high traffic. how the protocol intended to cover for these issues. Usually the way this was handled was via admin keys. So I asked some projects for data on the number of atomicity failures, specifically at a liveness level. I really should define these terms. I'll finish the thought and then
Sure.
I'll define them. So, and normally it seemed about like 98 to 99% of the transactions actually didn't fail at a liveness level. However, sorry, at an atomicity level or liveness level specifically. But the 1 to 2% of transactions that did, the only solution for that was admin keys. So as I mentioned maybe 10 seconds ago, I've been talking about these terms without providing definitions, which is a crime, honestly. So I won't provide definitions that are too technical, but liveness, the way I like to think of liveness is, let's say I tell you that a good thing is guaranteed to happen, then a protocol satisfies liveness if the thing that I guarantee that will happen will happen. Essentially, good states are reachable. So in my process of trying to break some of these protocols, I was looking for ways where the good states that were claimed to be reachable could not be reachable. Additionally, there were safety constraints as well. So liveness and safety are essentially married together, and they form the two legs of the atomicity definition. So safety can be thought of as, is it possible to create free money? And in some cases, the answer was yes. In fact, there were some really scary ways to make free money. We hear terminology like a money double. The term isn't coming to me, but Maddie, maybe you can help me. It's just what happened to Bitcoin. I've heard Richard talk about what happened to Bitcoin a while ago.
Like an inflation bug?
An inflation bug, right? So I haven't looked into the appropriate definition of an inflation bug, but essentially,
you get as much money as you want.
Okay. So it wasn't quite an inflation bug that I noticed in some of these bridges. In some of these bridges, you could resubmit transactions with tiny differences, and you could recoup your initial.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. They say in the chat, double spent. That's
actually the term I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it was more than double spend. In some cases, I stumbled upon papers by some researchers who found 233x spends. And it came down to really subtle stuff where some developers made some assumptions about a library that they used that they themselves did not write. And it turns out that there was an absence of uniqueness. And so their assumption was uniqueness, and turns out there was no uniqueness. And the amount of non-uniqueness that there was up to 233. I think it was the Polkadot bridge. Well, I don't think it was. I know it was. I'm not trying to make bridges sound bad, particular projects sound bad, but I think it's okay to talk negatively about Polkadot bridges because they're not going to be helping us out too much because they differ at a cryptographic primitive level. So it's going to be a while before we get some stuff from there. So I've talked a little bit about some of the constraints over which I was optimizing. At a high level, I also viewed this problem as an optimization problem, right? Like we have these constraints, we know what we want, we're trying to do the best that we can. But we can't always get what we want. We were looking for the Goldilocks bridge, and unfortunately, it's possible. In theory, there are bridges that satisfy all the constraints that we want, and we even found some theoretical possibilities that were surprising. Maybe I'll think on whether I should share that yet, because when I share it, it might become a community expectation. And the reality is, Some of the protocols in order to ratify that future don't yet exist. But there's really
I
cool
appreciate
stuff.
your caution and ethics here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really careful situation. At this point, I am committed to steering community members away from bad projects. Now, what is the definition of a bad project? Because that's also important. And really, the way we figure that out is based on community values, I'd say. So I know Richard has hammered into the community things like trustlessness, LOL. Guys, bear with me. I've been awake for a very long time. So trustlessness, so in the form of no admin keys, no federation. However, the bridge situation is such that we open ourselves up to inflation bugs or money printing, let's say, if we throw caution to the wind and aim for a trustlessness situation immediately. So, as I said, in theory, it is possible to have a trustless bridge with really amazing features that I'm not going to talk about yet, but that are really awesome and that we'll talk about soon. But it's smarter to go with something thoroughbred. So
something that's been tested in the real world with real world value, and that increases the certainty that it will not have unknown problems.
That's right.
Is that right?
So yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think just even our conversation so far, and I hope it we continue along this technical level. It really gives credence to where Pulse is at, where a bridge is not necessary, and yet we have brilliant individuals in the community who are working on this, and these are people that are not just brilliant but also are ethical. And I could give some examples of that here with RTH, and that it's so shout out to you, and I see a lot of people saying thank you in the comments. Whether people are on the dev team or they're just really, the whole community is putting their heads together and trying to come up with what'll work, what won't. And so you actually reviewing over 100 different bridge technologies and putting a spreadsheet together and sharing that with the dev team and whoever you shared it with, and researching each different technology to make sure that Pulse Chain includes the most amazing technologies all combined together, I think is just outstanding.
I'm very hopeful for the future. So thank you for the commentary. I don't know. I don't feel like what I did was that special, honestly. I just kind of worked away at it out of my own curiosity, and I knew it was an important issue. And I feel like the entire space of crypto in general is headed towards an interoperable future, but the solutions that we have right now are insufficient for a safe interoperable future that users deserve.
Well, and we have to remember too that it's our own ethics that also determine the future. Somebody already tried to bribe you, and you said no.
Oh yeah, quite a few projects, and it was like a non-trivial sum of money. So there were they were asking for an endorsement about the quality of their bridging technology that had flaws, like obvious flaws. Like, what the hell? Like, to me, it's so obvious that it's inconsistent with the reality that I've discovered in my research and with the documents that I've published. Like, there essentially is no bridge project unless there's one about to be published right now that I have not looked at that I haven't looked at and that I haven't shared its qualities with at least one person. So everything that I've done is out in the open. So like it would literally be a detectable inconsistency that I could not deny.
Yeah. So still, what caused you to not take the bribe that was not a small amount?
I just felt bad. Like, actually, I was going to make a comment about my life.
Are you saying you had a conscience?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like, I've never really explicitly looked up the definition of a conscience because I believe I had like an intuitive understanding of it.
Exactly.
So,
Not true. That's it's like your spirit talking to you. So good job for that. Some people shut down that voice, and then lo and behold, you do that long enough, you lose sight of that, and next thing you know, you're just out there with no morals, But the truth always catch up to you in the end. But I'm glad
I
optimize for a better life and peace of mind.
I had an experience actually where I was really, really young, maybe like 7 or 8 years old. Grabbed this little bear out of a store. Didn't have any money, so stole it. Feel bad, but I don't think the business exists anymore. And it just kind of like haunted me for quite a while. And I would say I've got quite a few sort of like personality level pathologies, like obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is kind of distinct from OCD per se, which outline a strict set of rules by which I live my life. And there's just too much cognitive dissonance that I face when it comes to being inconsistent.
And it's people like you who are caring about their reputation and their consistency and all this that make it possible for projects like Hex and Pulse to succeed, because you're not susceptible to what most people would be, which is to take the easy way out, to get to the bottom of this question of, are there any good bridges out there? And then you're not profiting from this work that you're doing. You're literally just kind of volunteering here based on your intellectual capacity, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm a 100% volunteer. So
wow,
I've never.
That's incredible.
Solicited. Thanks. That makes me feel great, Maddie. I really appreciate it.
No, you're very welcome. And also it's a testament of how great the game theory is in the finished product, because by optimizing for that, it's also in your best interest long run, because the product can and will truly succeed that way. So it's like delayed gratification, right? It doesn't feel like the right thing to do, but it is the right thing to do. And long term, as time goes by, you understand more why it's the right thing to do. So kudos to you for that.
Absolutely. I hate receiving compliments. Makes me feel awkward. So next, please. But anyway, so yeah, I've covered the constraints. I've talked a little bit about the amount of work that I put in, perhaps indirectly. And I've alluded to a potential interoperable future that we could all have. But I haven't been clear on that. So I'm curious what you guys think. Like, so this assumes, of course, that everybody's on the same page and understands that this would be in the medium to long-term future when this protocol could come out. So it's not something we could build by the time the Pulse chain launch happens. So I'm curious if you guys would want to know what it is, or whether you think it's a good idea to share at all. Like, I really haven't had a chance to think about the game theory on this. If I'm uncertain about something, I just say nothing.
Well, we'll have to know more about it when it is. So
I think we can. We could take our time with that. I would love to have you as a guest again. I know that I'm here at somebody else's house doing the stream, and they're getting ready to wind down for the night. So I think really above anything else, we've had a chance, to kind of gain people's interest, and when they see that we're doing another stream with RTH, then they'll be able to learn more, and that'll give us time as well to kind of review what types of topics you'd like to broadcast about.
Absolutely. And also, again, this is a testament of what we also as a community, like we're open-minded, but we're also, again, we're kind, right? If it's no good, we're going to tell you why it's no good. But by all means, if it's something that could be beneficial, the more ideas, the more minds on the topic, the better it will be. So definitely want to have you again and then be able to kind of break it down for us. And then we can give feedback and community can get feedback too.
Sure, I'd love that. I'm really sorry for coming unprepared. I'm not my usual snappy self at this time of day, unfortunately.
Are you kidding me?
No.
No apology necessary. We have a huge audience here that stuck around because they appreciated, your first look at the research that you've done, and I asked you last minute to join because I knew that there would be a large audience, and because I knew that this is a topic that people want to keep learning more about, and that's what you're doing is continuing to review research and to see what the state of the art is. So yeah, it's already been a success, I think, and that's what people are saying in the comments.
Great. Thank you so much, Maddie. I have one more question for you, and please let me know if I'm being presumptuous, because you did mention that you're at somebody else's house, so I'm kind of intruding at their house at the moment. But if I can have 2 more minutes, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we could do another 2 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So I wanted to make just a small comment on the security topic. I strongly recommend that people also get hardware security keys. So these are distinct from keys on the blockchain. There are products like YubiKey and Titan security keys. Yep. And the way that they function is similar to the way that a house key works. But in order to get into your house, you also need a password. So if somebody knows your password, maybe they're somewhere else in the world, they also need your physical security key to access your accounts. So that might have mitigated some of the attacks on the exchanges. So that's all I want to say there. People can look it up a little bit, and I can come on and talk about them.
No, very, very well said. And I'm well on, CTO Firebond, genius as it is. He's testing those right now, and he, because he wants to make sure it's ultra safe. But yeah, he was the one mentioning YubiKeys, and I remember back in the day when I went to a conference for EOS, I heard YubiKeys as well. They're like a little flash drive for people who don't know in the comments. But you combine that plus, possibility to have multi-sig and stuff like that. That's something that's manageable enough for the normal person, so to speak, that be able to use that. But yeah, combine all the tips, all the things that even Papa B mentioned earlier, and guys, we're gonna continue to get better at this. So you know what I mean. And again, repetition, the mother of all skills. So for that, that's very, very cool. And Maddie, before you go, I want to give a quick update to everybody about the chart just for 5 minutes. It is Quan Gang after all. So quick little updates from last week before, because I know you have too much house.
There's somebody here who needs to have me get out. So just
gotcha.
Like I tell people, hit the like and subscribe or get out. Now it's my turn to get out. So
nice. Well, let me just kind of talk about it for just 60 seconds then. So
okay.
Just make it simple. So again, just like we talked about last week, the premium is still negative. People know what we're talking about. The DXY, which is the dollar index, still rising, 96 plus, and this is what's been happening. And while we said last week, don't be surprised if Bitcoin go to 55K, right? Lo and behold, it did hit that. So it might continue to go lower because, again, keep looking at that dollar, because if the dollar strengthened, right, it's the antithesis of Bitcoin, right? They keep crying about, printing money, this and that. For those who don't know, Jerome Powell, which is the chief of the Federal Reserve chair, has been reelected for 4 more years. So that's a big deal because he's going to be continuing the policy that he's doing. So keep an eye on that, right? Stay date and chill. You know what time it is. Protect your value, add security, And again, for some of you, I will be seeing you very shortly, especially this weekend. The 5555 tour coming to Boston. That's going to be epic. And yeah, after that, it's the New York event. So be ready for those. You know, I firmly believe, you know, regardless of what people may believe, my belief is the bottom is in. Don't be surprised if there's a major move. Irrespective of what happened, Hex going to do what Hex does. So on that note, Maddie, thanks for letting me at least give that update.
Oh, my pleasure. And sorry, we can't do more, but also, yes, somebody who commented, for anybody who didn't hear, I hugged it out with whales today in real life. So we're doing well.
That's breaking news.
here in Albany.
What did he say? What did he say?
So,
okay.
We can catch up more about that next time. But thanks everybody who tuned in today. Remember that there's more to life than money, and I'll be back on Thursday for more Hex therapy. And then Karim is doing a Sunday show on a lot of different channels, so make sure to check that out. And we'll have RTH.
One last thing. Sorry. Yes, participate in the promo every week, guys. Every week, it's live right now. Free money, 10 winners every week. And I'm very, very glad, you know, Maddie and Wells hugged it out. I'm glad he heard me out because we had a talk. And yeah, hopefully back on Quan Gang next week. So that's a positive news. We're going to end up with a positive, good vibe. So, and Maddie, I will see you shortly.
All right. Take care. Good night, everyone.
All right.